We've all heard the story. It usually goes something like this. The so-called victim is finally ready to tell her painful story. She begins by describing the attack in detail. She tells a convincing story that pulls at your very heartstrings. Somewhere along the line, someone asks the victim whether the attacker had ever shown any violence in the past. And there is the cue for the biggest myth in the domestic violence industry to make its star appearance. We've had arguments before, but nothing like this. That's right. Point Dexter, Mr. Perfect Husband, the guy she knew for years, had a nervous breakdown and lost it. He snapped. From one day to the next, without suffering any brain injury, a man who never ever showed any signs of violence towards anyone attacked the so-called victim with a devastating force. Now, there's only one problem with that story. In real life, we know that nervous breakdowns aren't a common occurrence. In the real world, we know that sane people don't go from loving someone to punching them out without them being violent from the beginning. So why is it that when a woman admits that her so-called attacker never showed any signs of being violent, don't the prosecutors notice an incongruency in the story? Well, because society has made a clever exception for women. In any other case in which a man is accused, or he claims in defense, that he suffered a psychotic breakdown, a psychologist is called to examine him, after which he gives his professional opinion. However, in cases of domestic violence, men are automatically considered to be insane enough to have snapped without any provocation or history of violence, and sane enough not to go to a mental facility but to jail. Also sane enough to have to pay alimony and keep that job to support his ex-wife and child support, of course. Now, this, of course, doesn't apply to cases where a couple is just starting out. I'm referring to married couples who have been together at least a couple of years. The point that I'm trying to make here is that the amounts of psychotic episodes necessary for this so-called domestic violence epidemic to be true is staggering. It's also, it's enough to declare the entire country a state of emergency and to declare quarantine on our entire country. Is it something in the water? Is it something in the air? Or maybe, just maybe, it's something much less complicated. When will our authorities understand that maybe, just maybe, women will lie just to get back at their husbands? I also want to make this clear. I think it's important that I make a disclaimer here. I want to make crystal clear that I in no way, shape, or form believe that women are any more evil than men. I truly think that if a man had a falling out with his wife and had the tools at hand to exact vengeance upon her, men would do so. It's called being bitter. And if you've ever been dumped or cheated, you know what I'm talking about. My point, and the point of every MRA out there, is that women are no better than men. So why should we accept them to be any more truthful or honest? It's like I always say, they're special just like everyone else. Have a nice one.